One, two, one, two. Welcome to another episode of Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. I am your host, Lionel McDonald. Sorry, I'm a little hoarse. I was at a show last night, Nas in MSG. So, yes, I am live from New York City. So, we are still in the midst of our series, and the second artist that we have in 93 till infinity, as we celebrate 12 albums that now have turned 30 years old in the month or in the year of 2023, is arguably one of the best years we've ever had in hip hop, was 1993. So as we go through we had Alcoholics 21 and Over. That was our album for the month in January. We're now rolling up on the end of February. And the second album that I've chosen is none other from Brooklynites themselves, Black Moon. So Black Moon was launched and released the album Into the Stage in, I think it's October of 93, on an independent label called Nervous Records. So Black Moon consists of three different people that comprise the group. Most notably, everyone is fully aware of Buckshot Shorty, CEO of Duck Down and Duck Down Records in partnership with Drew Ha. And then we have his boy 5 Foot. And then we know Mr. Walter DJ and DJ Evil D combined to be the Beat Miners, which did all the production. So this is a critically acclaimed album. This album has so many significant hits and also helped to shape the sound and the culture of hip hop in the early 19 to mid 1990s. When we talk about hip hop, it's called the golden era, and definitely 1993 or 94, depending on your opinion, may have been the apex of that time. The particular album cemented Black Moon as one of the best underground hip hop acts and ever to hit the stage or hit the mic or get in the booth. So again, Black Moon is originally from Brooklyn, so hence got my Jackie Robinson Brooklyn shirt on. And again, for those that want to watch, they can hear it on obviously you can see it on YouTube, but you can hear it on Spotify, iHeartRadio. Definitely can catch it on Apple or Google Music or wherever you get your podcasts. So if you want to hear the story, I think that's what's so fascinating on how this album was created. So Black Moon started to shop this album. It was like kind of a 5-album demo, which also included probably the first song you ever heard from Black Moon, which was Who Got the Props. And you can see that it has a gritty sound to it, but the streets loved it. And as they sold or they shopped this demo, they came across a variety of people that were trying to listen to hear their sound, but they couldn't get really any traction on the album, to with various labels ultimately rejecting, saying it just didn't sound commercial enough. And we know that this is a hardcore underground hip-hop act. Essentially originally Black Moon had another member called Finsta, but after they had some struggles in shopping their demo, he left the group. So it really left it as the producers 5 Foot, which was also known as Kareem Reed, and then obviously the one we know today as Buckshot Shorty. So as we roll through as they try to shop this, they performed at this party in the spring of 92, and DJ Chuck Chillett was in the crowd. Definitely got them a meeting with how they performed, got them a meeting with the people at Nervous Records, and they got signed. And then obviously they got enough money to put out their first true single, which was Who Got the Props. Who Got the Props technically was released in 92. Did not have a ton of commercial success, despite people liking the album or liking the songs, this kind of pushed the group forward to continue and build out their album. I believe the album is like 16 tracks. Um, and I think the singles you get to know, yes, I said Who Got the Props, and that is still a banger that people listen to. But Who Got the Props is probably one of the most famous songs that they had. Um, but then you get to How Many MCs, and they use that amazing KRS-One sample. That's the one, that first single since the album or before the album had dropped. And then I think what is so unique about Black Moon is this is maybe the group that changed the culture of hip hop when it comes to remixes. This group may have done remixes better than anyone else. So there's an album version of I Got You Open, and they flipped it, slowed it down, almost felt like you were in a winter wonderland, and Buckshot just flows on I Got You Open. The remix version that actually technically came out in 94, and it's arguably the best song that they've ever created. They also do a Buck 'Em Down remix that came out later in 94, but this now helps cement. So when they really started to release singles, people started to gravitate more and more to the album. Did the album have great commercial success? No. But I think when you hear songs like Sun Get Wreck, this was also the Black Smith and Wesson was the introduction to the second act of what we now know as the boot camp click on Nervous Records. The Black Smith and Wesson was the introduction to Smith and Wesson, Tech and Steel. So pretty amazing how they've used this as a pillar. Smith and Wesson came out, and arguably they're the most talented of all, and maybe had the most success. This then led to Helter Skelter, and then obviously there was then OGC, and then they kind of split off and did what was called the Fab Five. Le Fleur, Le Fla, Eshkoshka was one of the most popular songs they had. And then this led to like an entire Posse album as we go down the line. And then the longevity and the impact of this group just continues on. One of the best clothing lines by any rap group is definitely the one done by the Nervous Records crew that we've grown to love and support as Boot Camp Click. So when you listen to some of the lyrics, the lyrics, they're very greedy. You can feel that there's definitely, maybe you could say a little bit of a Queens, but I think there's, a Rakim mind state. But I think one of the biggest influences, and I continue to say it, that one of the biggest influencers that we've ever had in New York City hip hop is Kool G Rap. He helped shape Nas. He helped shape Jay-Z. He helped shape Eminem. He definitely helped shape Buckshot and so many countless others. His style, his wordplay, and his ability to just sound like no other, and how he's be able to put multi-syllable raps and rap on beat and then come off beat. It's kind of a Juice Crew thing, but you definitely can feel the impact that Kool G Rap not only had on New York City rap, but definitely had an impact on Buckshot in particular. Both Buckshot and 5 Foot Accelerator, were aggressive on the mic. They attacked it with ferocity, and these are not two of the tallest guys in stature, but they rap like they were 9 feet tall. These were two of the biggest, roughest names. Like I think of them, and I think people that get me amped. I think of them and MOP and Prodigy on the mic that just get me so excited about how rugged their lyrics are. Again, if you think of all of the things that they've done, I think you can many people can see a comparison, between them and Smith and Wesson, which is obviously part of their camp, and then Mobb Deep. So there's definitely, even though Mob is from Queens, these guys are from Brooklyn, there's definitely a feel, and the hooks that came with. So like You the Man is another dope song. Act Like You Want It, Son Get Wreck. Again, this is pretty an amazing album. No Shot Shit is another one. And I think this album still to this day doesn't get its respect, doesn't get its props. It didn't have commercial success, but how do you value commercial success and make that the be all and end all? When you talk from a cultural and an impact, these guys are have said some of the most memorable lines in the history of hip hop. And your favorite rapper loves Black Moon. So, and then if we flip and we talk about Mr. Walt and DJ Evil D, are those known as the beat miners. They're the samples, the deep bass lines, the horns that were used in some of these songs, and obviously the drums make them, they don't sound like Pete Rock, they don't sound like Premier, they don't sound like RZA or Dilla or Dr. Dre. They have their own unique sound. You can truly feel the energy that comes from the tracks that these guys have done, and we can get into the samples and all the different things. But again, as I said, how these were able to flip these remixes and then put on other songs on the B side really made this group incredibly special, despite it's not getting its commercial success. So when you look at what people thought about the album, the Source gave it 4 out of 5 mics, and 4 out of 5 mics was a big deal in 1993 because it wasn't until Nas when you really saw someone get 5 mics in the most recent time. We do know that Low End Theory did get 5, and they've gone back now and given other albums 5 mics. Biggie got 5, Jay got 5. It Was Written got 5. Stillmatic got 5. Wu-Tang has gotten 5. The Diary by Scarface has gotten 5. I think they even gave Doggy Style 5, and these are all legitimate albums. But in that day, to get 4.5 out of 5 and no commercial success, but had to have a legitimate, it was quote unquote the Bible of hip hop at that time. To have someone call it one of the best albums, and I think the Source ranked it the 4th best album of 1990, and that's a big statement, knowing how great 1993 is. We roll through my tribute called 23 to Infinity. So much love to Black Moon. You definitely could feel that this was the uprising of New York hip hop in the 90s. So we had Biggie, we had Nas, we had Onyx, we had Wu-Tang, and definitely Pun and Big L and Gangstar and many others. Tribe Called Quest, who had a different sound, and Mobb Deep. This really helped to elevate what New York City hip hop sound. We definitely had, obviously Black Star and the whole DITC crew, OC, the Gangstar Foundation with J. Rue and Little Dap, and obviously Big Shug and Freddie Fox. So this is really how Flip Mode was there. KRS was, on his own solo project. We had MOP, we had Naughty by Nature. So this is how we had so much power and, uprising of what New York City hip hop sounded like, felt like. These artists were as good as any other artist and helped to inspire people like Capone Noriega. Then we get to Cameron. Then we get to 50 Cent. Then we get to, and then we started to branch out, and we had T.I., and then we're fast forward, we had, J. Cole and Kendrick still setting it now the apex of hip hop, along with JDI and if I think of Joey Badass and just so many other artists that are out there. Drake is obviously in the conversation, although his style is different, but this album is incredible. Power for Impact is one of my favorite songs. Shit Is Real is another, is one of them, but I think when I start singing this song, this album, it's Who Got the Props, How Many MCs, and then I while out to Who the Man. So much love and respect to the Boot Camp Click, Black Moon, Smith and Wesson, rest in peace to Sean Price, and Helter Skelter will continue on. OGC, the original Gun Clappers, and this album is, to me, has a special place in my heart. You don't gotta love it. I love it. I think it's one of the best albums of 1990. It could be, in my head, it could be third. And I know I said I loved Alcoholics when I got at you last month, but when I think of, and we'll get to a couple of them, they had a special birthday at the same time, and we'll celebrate it later in the year. But we had Tribe with Midnight Marauders, and Wu-Tang with 36 Chambers. That's one to definitely, when it comes out. And then I think, Alcoholics and with their album 21 and Over, and then you have Black Moon, is like the next tier down, and they're right on the heels of those guys. So this is a 4.5 mic album from a underground hip hop standpoint. To me, this is a 4.5, on the verge of 5.5. It's like a tier below The Infamous, which is maybe the most gritty underground album we've ever heard. There's no commercial appeal to it until you flip Temperatures Rise and remix. You can say Illmatic is, I kind of see Illmatic is in its own tier on its own. But yeah, if you haven't never heard Into the Stage, I definitely suggest you get it. Appreciate you all listening. You can find this on YouTube. You can find this on Spotify, Apple Music, Google, iHeartRadio, you name it, it's out there. So thank you for listening to Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life, 23 till infinity, as we celebrate the 30th anniversary of some of the best albums that have ever come out. And they all came out in like 92, 93, 94, and we're celebrating 93 today. So appreciate your time. Much love and respect. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Go Brooklyn.